8 teams that have found their new leader this offseason. By the end of this coaching cycle, we will see 10 head coaching positions filled, tied for the most ever in a single offseason. But history cannot be made until the Raiders and the Cardinals finish assessing their candidates and fill those last 2 vacancies. So let's get some insight on that. We bring in our NFL reporter, Jeff Darlington. He's going to give us the very latest on both of those jobs. Now, the Raiders' next head coach, he inherits 10 projected 2026 draft picks, including the number 1 overall pick. They've got some young stars there in Vegas. Right. Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. You got Mad Max Crosby. Where are the Raiders in their search for a new head coach?
Well, we've got 2 head coaching vacancies right now, right? And we've got 1 coach who is still remaining in the Super Bowl, and that is Klint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he is on the top of mind for 2 teams, the Raiders and the Cardinals right now. Now, the good news for the Raiders is that Jeremy Fowler is reporting that he will interview this weekend. Kubiak and the Raiders will meet once more before heading to Santa Clara for Super Bowl preparations. That's obviously very good news if you're a Raiders fan, because that tells you something about his potential interest. He could easily back out if he wanted to. The Seahawks still putting a heavy push on Kubiak to stay with Seattle. But right now, the fact that he is doing that second interview is something we should be paying close attention to this weekend.
Okay, when you look at the Cardinals' job, this was an offense that was ranked 24th, a defense that was ranked 29th, and yet they were in a lot of games down the stretch. Where's Arizona in their search for a head coach?
Well, the fact that they haven't made the hire means that they also are interested in Kubiak. That much we do, in fact, know. But we can also look toward 200 interviews that they have had. They've interviewed with Mike LaFleur of the Rams and Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator of the Dolphins. Now, both of those candidates are now waiting word from Arizona about their second interviews that did happen in person. So while they are waiting, obviously Arizona wants to see what happens with Kubiak exactly. They could ultimately still decide, if they feel like Kubiak's going to the Raiders, to move forward with Weaver or LaFleur. That being said, they could all just make that decision independently. But the fact that they have not pulled the trigger on Weaver and LaFleur obviously tells us they're waiting on something. People around the team feel like they are, in fact, waiting on Kubiak. We'll see what happens with him. Then the rest of the dominoes can fall. But right now, it's only Arizona and it's only Las Vegas with head coaching vacancies.
And so I'm getting the feeling then, hearing from you, then we'll probably get both of those vacancies filled after the Super Bowl, or maybe one before.
One before. I could still see one before. Certainly Arizona could wind up filling that before.
All right. That's our Jeff Darlington with the very latest. Thank you, Jeff.
Head coaches Jesse Minter with the Ravens and Joe Brady with the Bills. Brady is just moving offices. He's been Buffalo's offensive coordinator for the past 2 seasons. He replaces Sean McDermott, who was fired last week. Brady was introduced today. It's new on SportsCenter.
I understand that I'm walking into this role in a much better position than Coach McDermott did. I am not naive to that. I also understand that the expectations are higher as well. I didn't take this job to shy away from expectations. I sure as hell did not do that. I'm embracing it, I'm understanding it, and I'm meeting it full on. I know what I signed up for, and we're going to embrace it, because no one rises to low expectations. I want what this city wants. I want what Mr. Pegula deserves.
So the expectation, Brady's goal is to do what Sean McDermott could not, get Josh Allen to the Super Bowl. The MVP has now been in the league 8 seasons, and he's lost in the conference title game twice. Allen talked about it today.
I'm very looking forward to Joe and everything that entails with him becoming the head coach, and guys getting behind him and rallying behind him and understanding his vision. Because I do believe in it. I do believe in what he had talked about in his meetings, what he's talked about really the last few years that he's been in the quarterback room, of just the mindset that he has, the togetherness, being you with us. I can go on and on about how good of a coach I think Joe is, but you know, he's also a great human being. He's a family man. He's a leader. And I think that our guys will respond positively to this.
All right, joining us now is our Bills reporter, Elena Getzenberg, and, of course, our NFL analyst, the Super Bowl champ, J-Mac, Jason McCourty. Okay, Elena, let me start with you. So if change was needed in Buffalo to get them over the hump, you heard Josh Allen, and get him to the Super Bowl, why then hire within and hire a guy who's been there for some of those disappointing playoff losses?
Yeah, Brian, that was one of the big questions coming into the day, and much is the same in Buffalo. There's a lot of snow on the ground. It's very cold. This building looks the same, but it is a new head coach. And really what general manager and president of football operations Brandon Beane emphasized was that they treated Joe Brady like they'd never met him before. They really took this interview process not as him being someone in the building, someone they knew well, but they wanted to ask the basics, get to know him all over again, because they'd never known him in the sense of a head coach. So that was really what stood out to this group, was how he approached the head coach position. They liked how he would take on this CEO type role, overseeing the entire organization, and also emphasizing the alignment between Joe Brady and Brandon Beane, who he will be reporting to. So while it is a lot of the same, they liked what Brady's personality brought and how that would be different from what Sean McDermott had.
You kind of get the feeling, J. Mac, that the Bills are hoping that Josh Allen's relationship with Joe Brady will help them accomplish their goal of not only getting to the Super Bowl, but probably, I guess, winning one. You think it's the right move, hiring Brady?
I think when they let McDermott go, I anticipated it would be Joe Brady, and a lot of it has to do with what's gone on throughout the NFL. You look at Mike McDonald, who's going to be coaching in a Super Bowl. He was in the building for Baltimore. They let him get away. Liam Cohen, who's up for the Coach of the Year. He was in the building in Tampa Bay. They let him get away. So Joe Brady, the next up-and-coming coordinator, you want to keep him in the building. I remember talking to Sean McDermott a year ago and asked him, what is so special about Joe Brady? And he said, hey, when you're coaching the face of the franchise, there's a certain firmness and tough love that you have to have. And for both of those guys, Josh Allen and Joe Brady, there has to be love and respect when you're doing that. And we've seen the success of the offense under Joe Brady. So now can it translate to the rest of the roster? And I do think it was the right move. I think he was a guy that was going to be pulled away if they didn't elevate him.
Okay. Elena, now that Joe Brady's tenure as Bills head coach has begun, who's he targeting to fill out his staff?
It's interesting. I'd asked Brandon Beane, did you guys consider waiting for some of these Super Bowl coaches to become available? Because they weren't able to talk to those coaches until the Super Bowl would have ended. And they said, yes, if the right guy hadn't been there, but also no, because we wanted to give our new coach, the best chance to get some of these assistant coaches. So Joe Brady is currently working on his staff right now. And it's interesting, he's doing that with Brandon Beane. So they're both playing a role in that. Now they're going to have to basically have an entirely new defensive staff. A bunch of coaches are moving on from the cornerbacks coach to defensive coordinator Bobby Babich joining the Packers. And on offense, there's going to be a number of changes. Wide receiver coach Adam Henry's going to the Steelers. And crucially, offensive line coach Aaron Kromer is set to retire. He played a huge role in organizing and game planning this rushing attack that James Cook led the league with. So that's going to be a major change and a hole for Joe Brady to fill, along with finding a new defensive coordinator and special teams coach.
Yeah, he's got a lot to do there going forward. You can read more on Elena's reporting on why Joe Brady and what's next for Buffalo on .com right now. Elena, thank you very much. J-Mac, more from you later in the show.
Sir.
Like Buffalo, Baltimore introduced new head coach Jesse Minter earlier today. Minter spent the past 4 seasons as Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator with the Chargers, and before that, at Michigan. Minter's first NFL job came with John Harbaugh in Baltimore, where he was defensive assistant from 2017 to 2020. Here's what Minter said about replacing former Ravens head coach. It's new on SportsCenter.
Tons of respect for everything that he's done. We've had just a couple of small conversations. He knows how I feel about this place. He did text me like, I think they should hire you. That was just one of the texts he sent, so I appreciated that. But love John, and really just take the foundation in place and build on it and make it better and put my own spin on it and not try to be John Harbaugh, not try to be Jim Harbaugh, be myself, connect with everybody, make it about all of us, and I really look forward to doing that. But Lamar, I just look forward to connecting with him, helping him become the best version of himself, creating a team identity that allows him to thrive, which he's already, proven to be an elite, one of the best player in the National Football League, and put a team around him that allows him to reach that ultimate goal of bringing a Super Bowl back to Baltimore.
All right, our Ravens reporter, Jamison Hensley, was in the building for Minter's intro presser, and now he's outside braving the cold. So Minter's most important agenda as Ravens head coach is figuring out how to get Lamar Jackson back on track. What more can you share about that quarterback-coach dynamic now moving forward?
Yeah, Christine, as Minter pointed out, he has had multiple conversations with Lamar Jackson since becoming the 4th head coach in Ravens history just a week ago. But Minter's relationship with Jackson actually started back in 2018 when Minter was a defensive assistant and he helped Jackson quarterback the scout team during the first half of Jackson's rookie season. Now, in talking with team president Sashi Brown, he made the point. The Ravens interviewed around 20 candidates for this head coaching position. And what made Minter stand out was his ability to build relationships. And the Ravens received excellent feedback from a lot of former players, including former Ravens Tony Jefferson and Eric Weddle. And Weddle also just said, too, that he believes Minter will have the same impact in Baltimore as Mike Macdonald has had back out with the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, relationships is very important because obviously there were some interesting relationship dynamics between Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh. But what do they need to prioritize to get the most out of Lamar Jackson?
It starts there, and we heard Minter throughout his presser talk about how important those relationships are. So whoever the offensive coordinator is going to be, it starts with being able to communicate with Lamar Jackson. I think one of the most important parts of this offense moving forward, they have to get back to finding a way to be explosive. When Lamar Jackson's at his best, he's either running, creating an explosive play, or he's throwing the ball in play action down the middle of the field, creating those explosive plays. That's when they're at their best. And I think what Jesse Minter brings is you think about the slogan, play like a Raven, and what that means and what the culture means. He was there in 2017 to 2020. He knows what it looks like. He knows what the expectations are, and he knows a lot about Lamar Jackson already. So he starts off on a positive. Now it's finding that right connection piece for his next coordinator.
And they do need to figure out that coordinator position. The last 3 seasons, Todd Monken, who took the head coaching job at the Browns, was his OC. So, Jameson, what are you hearing about the search for Monken's replacement? Oh, is there? I hear something, but I couldn't see it.
I'm just being stopped by. This is Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold out here.
What is he doing
really
outside?
Cold. That's what I said to him. I said, "Why aren't you doing this inside?"
Thank you.
So he has allowed in the building.
Thank
for
you.
him.
That was
He's
my
our
biggest
favorite
question.
reporter. And I don't know why they kicked him to the curb, so to speak, because we're out here on the curb.
But hey, why did they want to know why did you hire Jesse Minter?
Oh, I didn't. Eric did, and I approved it.
There you go.
Yeah, I can tell those two are going to work really well together. He stood out. We got some good candidates out there, but he stood out. So we're really happy with him, and we're really happy with Jameson.
Okay, Jameson, please go indoors.
Yeah.
That is the next order of business.
You're red. It's time to get
You have a
inside.
coat on.
I appreciate it.
We love it. Thanks.
You never know what's going to happen on SportsCenter. Coming up, we are 10 days away from the Super Bowl. Are there quarterback concerns for both the Patriots and the Seahawks? We've got the very latest. Meanwhile, there are 2 NFL head coaching vacancies still to fill. Who are the front runners for Vegas and Arizona? We'll ask our NFL reporter. And what are the most likely landing spots for Giannis if he is indeed traded? Shams Charania will give us the latest that's live straight ahead. Can you believe that?
I'm trying to see how cold it is really fast.
Out there in Baltimore?
In Baltimore, because I can't believe he was standing out there. He didn't seem to have any layers on. Baltimore, Maryland.